Hi, I'm Joe Finsternis, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about a movie called Open Graves. Now, as was the case with the last film I reviewed, this was released by a studio that hasn't succeeded in impressing me so far. This was released by Tribeca Film Studios, and before this I've seen 388 Arletta Avenue and Hollow, and both of those films were just boring and underwhelming as shit. So, besides that, I've only seen like one review of this film so far on YouTube, and it wasn't very promising, so I went into it with low expectations. But, the concept sounded pretty interesting to me, and the star of the movie is Sharlto Copley, who you may know from District 9, which, of course, I loved him in. I also understand he plays a bad guy in Elysium, which I haven't seen yet. And I even liked him in the A-Team movie. I thought he was hilarious. So I saw it for him and for the concept alone. Anyway, the film starts off with his character waking up in, you probably guessed, an open grave. And you get the impression that he's been asleep for quite some time. I mean, his bones are cracking every time he moves, he's moaning in discomfort, and he's surrounded by dead bodies, so the film starts off pretty effectively. Anyway, he's rescued from the hole, and he meets this group of people who have no memory of who they are or how they got to this place, and a lot of the time is spent just discovering who they were and, what's going on. As can be expected in a movie with this concept, there is some tension that builds up between the group. And, that sort of thing never gets old for me. The whole setup of a bunch of strangers, waking up in some mysterious place, having no fucking clue what's going on, has been done before in movies such as, Cube, and even in Saw it had like two guys waking up in some strange place. But like I said, it never gets old for me. As long as they can keep the story interested, I'm always going to be interested in seeing it done again and again. As for Sharlto Copley's character in the film, that's pretty much why I'm going to keep calling him, because he does have a name, but the characters discover their names throughout the film as they start collecting their memories, so I'm just going to let you find that out. But Sharlto's character may have a more checkered past than the rest of these people. There's this one guy in the group who doesn't trust him just because he woke up with all those dead bodies and nobody else did. Plus, he keeps having these fragmented flashbacks of unpleasant things, and he himself doubts that he could be the hero of this story. There were a few moments in the movie where it got a little boring for me. One particular dip that it took was where this one guy just went walking through the woods and started naming off the things they saw. I mean, how riveting does that sound? But it does pick up in a big way during the final act, and there's a point where the movie falls into a certain subgenre of horror, which I'm not going to give away because that would be spoiling it, but throughout much of the film I expected that was going to be one type of movie, and when it finally clicked in my head that it was this type of movie, I was like, oh, cool. So it is a pretty interesting story. And just as Oculus, revived my faith in WWE, Open Grave has given me faith in the Tribeca Film Studio. And I know that I went into this movie with low expectations. I did catch on to the fact that, maybe the reason I liked this film was because I was expecting it to be a piece of shit. There are times when you might see a film and you think it's going to be completely horrible, but it turns out it's only mediocre. And I gave it some thought before doing this review, and in the end I like it. It's definitely not a bad movie. If the concept sounds just as intriguing to you as it does to me, I definitely recommend it. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about Open Grave. I hope you all have a good one.